Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going?
Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Gavisto struck back at Daly by winning at Oulton Park, but it's still a wide gap in the points up to the lead in the championship. The Finn needs to either keep beating his rival to the line or hope for some bad luck for a realistic shot at the title. Will he keep it up here at Summit Point? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 12 of the Sunday Drivers' Cup, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Jake Sperry. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Summit Point is certainly a smaller, lesser-known track in the world of racing, but here on iRacing, for many drivers, it was their first place to race. Let's head to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to Summit Point Raceway. Once the stomping grounds of IMSA and Trans Am vehicles thundering through the West Virginia mountains, this circuit is now mainly used for club racing and performance driver training. Situationed a couple hours west of Washington, D.C., there are actually two entirely separate circuits that can be tackled here on the iRacing service. The main circuit is just shy of 2 miles in length, including 10 turns, and can be chopped off into the short version, which has 9 turns and only 1.5 miles for a lap. The Jefferson Circuit is its own 1.1 mile piece of pavement with a mere 7 turns and uniquely can be run in reverse. Both tracks are astonishingly narrow and provide quite a technical challenge. On the main course, the most popular place to pass is down into the first corner hairpin. While some drivers may try a brave dive into turn 5, the frighteningly fast kinked entry makes it prone to things going wrong quickly. Between there and turn 9, it's essentially a single file affair with nothing but tight and twisty bends snaking their way around. The Jefferson Circuit isn't used as often, and because there are a few straights long enough to get a run on someone, most drivers are forced to wait for a mistake to pounce on. Otherwise, qualifying will be key. Believe it or not, IMSA's GT class raced here in the late 80s, and even Can-Am stopped in back in 86. While it probably sees much more competition here in the virtual world, it's easy to see why plenty of real drivers love to take their vehicles out to try and tackle this historic Appalachian venue. Well, Jake, it's the old faithful of iRacing, essentially, a track that almost everybody's run at least once. But what's it going to be like with MX-5s?
Exactly what you run when you first jump into iRacing. MX-5, Summit Point, name a more iconic duo, essentially. This is the sort of place where I'm expecting every driver to have a level of pace around this place. It's a very short, very technical circuit, but it does have a lot of abilities to go out and overtake. The main place is going to be into turn number 1 today. That's going to be the prime place in this 10 turn, just short of 2 mile, essentially club circuit here at Summit Point, West Virginia. At this point, you go through the wagon bend turn 2. That's a key corner to get correct. And then if you haven't got it done by turn 1, then you've always got the chance through the chute in towards turn 4. That's probably one of the other great places to get it done on the brakes. That carousel outfield section through the S's is very momentum based, and then the paddock bend is the last corner. You don't have much of a braking zone there, but it acts as a sling. You've got to carry all the momentum possible there. And I tell you what, you've only got 20 laps today, so you don't have long to put your best foot forward.
Certainly not. The drivers have got to be on it, no doubt, here today. Now, for the championship situation up at the top, Tom Daly is still leading. It's a full 46 points that he is ahead of Kavisto. So Kali's got a lot to try and make up. He is here today, and so is Tom. We'll see what they can do from there. Alderding looking pretty distant at this point. I mean, there's still realistically a mathematical chance that he could try and get into things, but it's looking like he doesn't quite have the same pace as guys like Tom and Kali. Zvetenov, though, has been very quick, if inconsistent. So he could be a bit of a wild card in this, especially at 112 points back. He's got to really get this nailed down if he has some sort of hope at the points by the end of 2022. From there, you get pretty far back. Lopez, Elliott, Oral, all guys that are close together, but probably not thinking about the championship as much anymore. And a nice fight for 8th there between War and Oliveira, only 7 points separating them. We have a teams standing as well, Jake, and how is that one right now?
You can't get much closer than 1 point's difference. 1P Motorsports, which is the team that Tom Daly's in, is up at the top, 323 points. And the Positive Delta Motorsport team are negative by just the 1 at this point in time. It's close up and down the order. iRacing Nederland find themselves in 3rd with Spirit 14 Racing in 4th position. Kind of sus racing. That's Jordan and Zvetenov's team. They find themselves in 5th, 108 points back, with Simtech Racing leading a very clustered gaggle in the fight from 6th down to 10th, with TGR, 2G Parts and Equipment Racing. Maybe they might be looking for 3G, 4G, or 5G as an upgrade. They're in 8th at this point in time. GIF Racing, or sometimes GIF Racing, depends on who you are. They are 9th. And Dairy is Scary Racing. Well, I believe Dairy is very scary, and that's why a number of people in this world are lactose intolerant, Joe.
Absolutely. One of my favorite names for the teams. We also have a Nations Cup, and it's still Ireland with Tom Daly leading the way for them, up ahead of Finland, which of course has Kalle Kavisto, who has been getting most of the points there. The Netherlands has a number of drivers. There's a lot of Dutch drivers in this series, hence why we're seeing them up in 3rd. The United Kingdom trying to play catch up on that, about 10 points separating them, so it's not too far apart for that 3rd position. It's even closer between Spain and South Africa, only 4 points between them, and then 2 more down to Bulgaria as well. The United States is looking a little bit more distance. Not as many U.S. drivers out here, but they're dealing with Portugal and Brazil to try to not be among the last in our top 10 here in the Nations Cup. As for today's race, Jake, why don't you take us down the race details real quick?
Why don't we indeed? Well, this is round 12 of 20, and it's a long season, so they have a lot of work to try and get through and get as much as they can out of a race like this one today. So 20 laps, they have a fixed setup here, so everybody is playing essentially with exactly the same car. It comes down to driver's skill and how a driver can unlock a machine like this today. They get 1 bonus point for pole position, they get 1 bonus point for the fastest lap, and they get 1 bonus point for being the hardest charger. By hardest charger, that means how many positions do you make up during the race. If you make the most positions up from your grid position to your finishing race position, that's another bonus point added on. One thing that isn't on the graphic that is worth talking about, though, here today, there are no instant points, so you can push as wide as you possibly like. And on top of that, there's no fast repair limit, so you've got infinite cars to play with today, Joe, if it does indeed go wrong.
Yes, and well, there might not be places where there are walls to keep you from flying off into the netherworld, but you can certainly still hit a few things. So let's hope that we don't have to have too many cars ducking in, because there's no scheduled pit stops, and that'll certainly set you backwards, having to come in and take that spare. Tom Daly, in the meantime, has yet to set a lap time. It's Van Rassel in the 30 that is up at the point here in qualifying by quite a margin, considering it is only a minute 20 lap, and now it's a little bit closer. Mackenzie Mann just popped in a 22.2 to come within a tenth or so of Van Rassel's time. Daly's now crossing. Got a little bit of a tow there. This one did count as opposed to his first one, which got deleted. A 21.7 immediately puts him all the way up to first.
Yeah, and first by at least 0.3 of a second right now, or just close enough to it. So you can see how much Kirby takes the opening corner, kicking up the car onto two wheels in a very touring car style, trying to get a little bit of grip as the tyres jump back down and get that ability to push forward. And you sometimes find that this is a track of small gains, but sometimes you can find big losses out there, and Tom Daly pushes all the way to the limits. Although there are no instant point limits out there in the race, in qualifying you do have to put it between the lines. There's the positive Delta driver, Kalle Kavisto, out there in 5th position, currently 3/4 of a second adrift, but drivers are looking at their first, maybe their second lap runs, try and get themselves through. There is also a little bit of a worrying thing around Summit Point, and that is that it's a very small circuit here, Joe. So especially in open qualifying like we have here today, it means that drivers can very easily, if they've got differences in pace, start tripping up over each other.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about that as well. You mentioned the touring car approach to those curbs. I think they're going to need that approach with each other a little bit. It's so narrow here, and there's not going to be much space to maneuver. So they're going to have to get their elbows out to try and get those passes done. Kavisto all the way down to 8th now, as Bacchus just went up to 2nd, make that 3rd, because Alderding took the pole away from Tom Daly. Kavisto really needs to get a better lap in here if he wants to have a good start here today. A 22.1 is about 0.4 faster. That's only up to 7th. Kalle seems to be struggling at this track.
And it's rather surprising, because this is the sort of circuit where everybody should know this one. It's one of the first ones you go through. And I tell you what, great driving from Armanula Bacchus, the South African driver for TGR, has been pretty much on a tear with that opening run. And to be up in 3rd position, this is a really good time. He's only 5 thousandths, by the way, behind Tom Daly at this point in time. Oral in 4th, Xavi Lopez in 5th position. There is still a long way to go in this qualifying session, 9 minutes and 10 seconds. And on top of that, because it's open qualifying, you are allowed to finish the final lap that you start. So there is always that to play with. And I tell you what, there is a driver I am surprised who hasn't set a representative lap time so far here, Joe. And that is Jordan Zvetenov in the number 8, 25.9 only at the moment. Kind of sus car. I think is just trying to suss out the competition.
Yeah, he's had 2 of his most recent laps deleted as we ride on board with Bacchus. That last lap, unfortunately not an improvement. So wonder if they've hit the best of those tires by that 4th lap, and the first 3 are going to be the money shot there. Zvetenov is coming around the final corner off of Paddock Bend and towards the line. I am showing him up on his best time. Let's see if this shoots him up the field or not. It's going to be a 22.2. That's much better, and that will at least put him 13th. That's still far down compared to what is a driver who has actually won a race so far this season.
Exactly, and you'd expect Jordan Zvetenov to at least be challenging top 5, but it is the Dutch driver, Stefan Alderding, who is putting the business in, and putting the business in by 3.5 tenths of a second right now, running through the carousel. The S's follow immediately after, and you're trying to carry as much speed as possible, try and keep the throttle pressed down, flicked up into 3rd gear, relying on the mechanical grip of the car before running up and then back down under the bridge, which is the entry to the circuit, and then dropping in through the final corner, the Paddock Bend, to try and open out the exit and attack. You can see a few of the wheel tracks there in the gravel from drivers who have pushed a little bit too far, and it's a long drive to the finish line, the start-finish line around this circuit, because, of course, it comes after pit lane of all places.
Exactly. So I have seen drivers snipe a win after that last corner. It's tough, but possible. Daly went a little faster, but it's still about 2.5 tenths behind Alderding. We've got 7 minutes left, so there's still plenty of time. And he could try and maybe pop back in for some new tires or something. We'll see. Meanwhile, Zvetenov up to 6th that last time at 21.9, continuing to find pace bit by bit. And now we'll see if Davila gives him any sort of tow or if this is going to be a hindrance around the lap, having to try and deal with that number 20 car.
Well, it depends on the braking zone here into the wagon corner, and there is a big difference between Davila, who's 19th, and Zvetenov, who is in 6th, and it is how much road is actually being used. So you look at how you turn in and how you look to attack. Every time I'm looking at Arturo Davila, he's either not using enough road or he's not turning in quick enough to make the corner. He's being a little bit more safe out there, and Zvetenov is just pushing the risks a little bit more. A shorter track like this, Joe, you have to take more risks in order to find the time, and that's why certain drivers have found themselves up nearer the front of the field, because they have found the risks, they have found the time where other drivers haven't been able to be as aggressive. It is worth noting as well that Tom Daly may not always get qualifying sorted, as there's a very cheesy, dare scary racing car of Stephen Orrell out there at this point in time in 5th position, as Sandavara has just jumped up into 3rd position. But one of the keys is for Tom Daly in the way he races, he is so good in the opening 5 laps. Watch out for him in the opening quarter of the race.
You make a good point on that one. He seems to be a lot more consistent than those around him. Sometimes these races can be a little bit more about survival than anything. So Orrell in 5th, getting a little bit of a tow here. That is Sander in front of him in the 7 that you just mentioned, up to P3. So we'll see if that's also going to give some speed to the 4 car. And in fact, he's going to pull off. So Sander practicing that pit entry, which again, no scheduled pit stops here, so hopefully won't have to do that. And will the lap time be scary for his rivals, or will Steven be slow across the line? He's going to have that lap deleted. It's scarier for him than anybody else, and he pulls over to park it. So we'll see if he comes back out, takes a fresh car, and returns. One of our few Americans, Mackenzie Mann, sitting in 12th position. Not sure that he's on a quick lap here. This is going to be close. He's got to improve on a 22.2, and a 22.9 will not cut it, so he has to cycle around again.
Yeah, we'll have to, and it can be very frustrating when you've got a longer style session. You need to find that time. It takes a very wide entry in, trying to open up the exit as much as possible. Most drivers get taught out to into out, but certain corners like turn 1, you can definitely diamond off the corner and put the power down. Just because you've got that long lisking right that comes off of the exit to the corner, you're always going to be battling up against using all of that track when you can get on that power a little bit earlier and then not sacrifice so much by the scrubbing of turning of wheels out there on track. So you've definitely got that to work with, especially for Mackenzie Mann at this stage. But we are reaching the final stages of this qualifying session. One of the things that might be hindering the drivers a little bit here, Joe, is actually how much the track potentially could get itself into play. The one thing that we will know is that unlike most series out there in iRacing nowadays, Joe, it's back to fixed weather conditions. So it's 7:51 in the morning. I don't know why 7:51 was the time. There is the track temp and air temp, and I would say perfect for finding time.
Absolutely. And still a few drivers that are trying to find that little bit of time. You mentioned about how short this lap is. That's going to make it tough here at the end, I got to think, with only 10 corners, to try and find a tenth or half a tenth somewhere around one of them.
Yeah, tenth or half a tenth. I think you've got to start thinking about the hundredths and thousandths out there as if it was a birthday cake at this point in time, because they are going to have to try and open up a little bit more. Look at the train behind Tom Daly. This is the worst scenario that you've got. When you lead the championship, you're out there in qualifying. Everybody who is anybody wants your wheel behind.
Yeah, they're all trying to tow along with his draft, so it's like a mother duck bringing the little ducklings along, and we'll see if they can keep up or not. Looks like Sanders gotten back out there, so is Stefan Alderding. In fact, they're pretty close on track, so they might be using one another as well. In fact, I think all but maybe 2 or 3 cars are out on track right now. Everybody still believes there is something to be found in these last 2 minutes. And we'll see if anybody is able to bump themselves up higher. Oral just crossed the line. He does not go quicker than that 5th spot. And Daly is around the final turn. If he goes faster, you got to think those behind him probably going to be able to pick something up. Let's see what Tom is able to do. And the Irishman, unfortunately, doesn't have that lap count, so that must have been an out lap. Behind him, none of the 3 in a train have managed to gain any time either, so didn't quite work out like they'd hoped.
I am surprisingly happy with the work that Patrick Alders has done so far in 6th position, so he's looking good. There's the driver just behind him, Kalle Kavisto, in 7th, and there is Patrick Alders in 6th. He's in the middle of that train, but has done a very good job in the iRacing Nederland car to put up into that 6th position. And every time you're out there and you're trying to race, you hope you've got a teammate near you. Stefan Alderding will be very, very happy with Patrick Alders on that lap, but not this time. Bang! That's how easily you can get it wrong at the chute.
So easy to just swing that little too far wide, and unfortunately hard to break on the grass. Kavisto, we were mentioning the Finn a little bit earlier. He's still in 7th place, but he's 200ths behind Patrick Alders. And in fact, between, it looks like 2nd and all the way down to, my goodness, it is very tight. 2nd to 10th, it is half a second. So the average is still less than a 10th between every car there from 2nd to 10th place. That is unbelievable.
And car 4 has just jumped up to 4th. So Stephen Orrell jumps the Darius Scary car up another position. That is big, and big is Xabi Lopez just going 2nd on a 21.5. Everyone in the dying embers of this qualifying session is finding the time, but the question's going to be who the last car over the line is. I believe it's Kalle Rantanen who will be one of the last cars there. Checkered flag will come out in session. Alderding will be one of the first over the line.
Davila crosses, does not improve. Alderding doesn't find any time. Neither does Sanderwera. Looks like Marimon is going to be in the same boat. A lot of people having trouble keeping a clean lap on this last time through. Timo Paija, in the meantime, in the 25, goes faster to a 26 flats, but unfortunately stays last of those with a lap time.
Yeah, and the drivers are out there. Xabi Lopez is out there. Oral's lap's not going to make any difference out there on circuit, so that's certainly not going to work. Amanula Bacchus is also out on track and is searching for a lap time too, so there are still going to be drivers, but they're all just now making their way out of the S's and to the final corner. Xabi Lopez has had to try and push Peter Reed around, who's done very well in his qualifying efforts, currently in 10th position, but how good is this lap going to be? Lopez has to be careful not to bump draft too hard, otherwise the lap time's going to be invalidated, and Reed and Lopez did make contact on the lap, so the lap doesn't count. So that's a big shame for the Spirit 14 Racing driver. Amanula Bacchus over the line, lap time doesn't count, and then just looking forward, Kalle Rantanen, I believe, will be last over the line.
And he finds just a little bit more and still stays behind Rodriguez. He will only qualify in 18th. That means our grid is now set for today, and Stefan Alderding gets that bonus point for the pole position. Lopez will start on the front row with him, and then Tom Daly will be P3. The championship leader is flanked by Sanderwera in 4th. Stephen Orrell will be P5, and Amanala Bacchus has managed 6th place. Patrick Alders, P7, with Kalle Kavisto to his outside, 2nd place in the championship, but lacking pace in qualifying here in West Virginia. Same thing with Zvetenov, who is usually a little bit quicker than 9th place. Peter Reed will be to his outside.
Over onto row 6 of the grid, and Michael Elliott will have Willem van Rassel for a little bit of company there in 12th position. Pedro Marimon will start 13th, along with Bruno Albino in 14th position. He was having a really good run last time out at Alton Park. Mackenzie Mann starts 15th, along with Brett Ride in the number 17 machine 16th. Alvaro Rodriguez goes from 17th position, and Kalle Rantanen will start in 18th. Martin Schmidt will start 19th. The top 20 will be rounded out by Arturo de Villa, and there's just 3 more over the page, so I'll just mop them up for you here, Joe. Timo Paya will be there in 21st, the Finnish driver, and 2 drivers who did not set a time and will be split by their iRating. Sven Delmans will go ahead of David Mitchell, the Scotsman.
Almost have everybody already gridded up for the race, just waiting on Lopez and Bino, and then we are good to go. There's Lopez now, and the number 64 car looks like he's going to be among the last to grid up. Now we are ready. The engines will start to rev. We've got 20 laps to decide a winner today as the lights come up here at Summit Point, and the green flag is out. Looks like a much better start for Alderding there on the pole, and Lopez goes nowhere. Here comes Tom Daly immediately into second, almost getting pushed into the grass. That was Oral, who had to lift out of it, dipping wheels off into the dirt. Behind him, a little bit of 3 wide as they approach into the first corner. Is everybody going to be able to get through clean? Not Daly. He goes completely off course. He's trying to keep it from spinning. He's back on, but he is dropping like a rock now.
All the way back now to 6th position, troubles off the start, and that puts him directly side by side with his title contender, Kalle Kavisto. So Kavisto suddenly thought he'd have a lot of work to do today to chase down Tom Daly. He doesn't really. He's gone through 1 corner and he's already there.
Indeed, that is his main goal, to try and keep up with him and try and minimize the damage or finish ahead of him. And it's looking a lot more likely now, especially if Tom is able to charge his way through. Kalle, no doubt, will try and ride his coattails. And, a little bit of side-by-side as Lopez is now getting in the thick of it. And that's Backus that is banging doors multiple times with him.
Yeah, heavy shot there between the two, neither of them wanting to compromise, and look at how it checks them up compared to the group at this point in time. Sandoval in second, Stefan Alderding has basically got Christmas for his championship right now. He's in first, he needs the point, he's in first right now, he needs the points in third, and he's going. Oral runs wide, that will give Tom Daly a position, but there's also still Backus and Lopez trying to fight out. Lopez on the inside in the Spirit 14 car is going to take the place away from Armanula Backus, but Kavisto realizes that time is of the essence, and he dives hard down the inside of the Dairy Scary racing driver Stephen Oral, and is going to take the place, making sure, oh no, they're both going to go off to the left, bye-bye.
Oh no, and they've gone into the ether. They are automatically towed into pit lane because of that. They're out of the boundaries that iRacing has marked. So that means that they will have to basically make up a lot of time and hope that they get a few cars that also fall victim to problems here today. Daly now suddenly has free reign to do as he pleases here and charge as hard as he wants. Ahead of him, it is Backus and Lopez. Let's take a look at this, and I put this one down to a lack of awareness, Jake.
Well, it's a corner that always goes right, and I can't really put blame on either driver on that. You could see there was a little bit of netcode between the two drivers, and the Shadow Realm does not discriminate against driver or other driver. If you find yourself in that area, iRacing's not going to map 84 billion forest trees for you to drive your way around. You are in there, and you are going to be towed back to the pits.
Meanwhile, as we watch the battle once again with Tom Daly, he's working on Backus still. This time he's got a good run coming up to the popular passing zone of the first hairpin, but he breaks deep. He's trying not to get into his rival and barely avoids hitting the back of Lopez.
That's how easily you can outbrake yourself here. He's done so well to get it chalked back up again, but he's at a risk here of being boxed in, but they fall single file into the wagon corner, turn number 3, out on track. So they find themselves a way through, nicely sorted, but now Xabi Lopez has to try and defend it, moves to the middle of the road, and Tom Daly does not want to find himself going through, and like a certain other Tom Daly out there, he does not want to be diving into moves unnecessarily.
If we can get a moment, we had a huge pileup into the first corner that Zvetenov was involved in. I think he got hit, it looks like, by Peter Reed, I think. Here we go. Reed's just going to try and get to the inside, discovers the 8 is going to be there. And a great heads up by everybody coming in, because this could have been a lot worse, going 4 wide and off the track at one point, and they continue to lean on each other as they all stack behind them.
Well, everything's fair in love and war, and for Jordan Zvetenov, he did very well, actually, to get turned back into a straight line and get the power back on again. And the biggest nightmare you have as a driver is a massive gaggle of cars, which is 6, 7, 8, 10, and it still continued on into the chute. So some wonderful battling, but they've all sorted themselves out now, which is very key to their troubles. Alderding leads, Vara in second, so it's a Dutch 1-2 at the moment. Daly up in third. I tell you what, 2 South Africans in fifth, and Sig doing well, and there's troubles on the horizon. That's Xavi Lopez running off the road then at the exit of turn 2, because he got a bit of contact front to rear, effectively got turned across the quarter panel there by Armanula Bacchus.
Did a great job collecting that back up. It's so easy to get onto that hill and lose control of the car, but riding sideways, he still is back running, but down in 6th because of it. So he's got to overtake Ellett, Bacchus, and Daly to get back to where he was before. We're only on lap 4 out here, and we've had plenty of fun today here at Summit Point. But will this playground still be fun for these drivers, or is somebody going to wind up scraping their knee? Because it seems like it is fierce fighting on this tiny track.
It absolutely is, and it has been up and down the order. There is the view from Xavi Lopez in 6th position. The good news for him is it's a big gap back to Peter Reid at this point in time. Man, Zvetenov, Marimon, all there in the group behind, and way off the road then is Michael Ellett through the final corner, so he's going to have to give one up then as he crosses the line in the grass. So one more gone, and just behind that they are starting to stack up right now in the battle for 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. So it's all going on. Zvetenov on the outside, 2 kind of sus cars in there, because you've got Pedro Marimon, who is also in the mix, but Zvetenov's going to run out wide, and he can't turn until he finds extra runoff area, and that's going to lose 1 to Marimon, and Patrick Alders is going to try and recover his way back through. He picks one up.
Oh, that little mistake cost him so many after trying to play defense, and it all fell apart. So now he's got even more to make up. Before that, it had been a decent day for Zvetenov. He had actually gone up 2 positions at one point, but it's all kind of just seeming to crumble through his fingers. Meanwhile, as they head through turn 5 and now into the carousel, look at how close a lot of this mid-pack racing has been. If the leaders start to catch back up around them, that's going to be difficult. The good news is they're a long ways from getting into any lap traffic, but I'm not sure that'll last forever.
I'm not sure, and I tell you what, with the way they've been pushing out of some of these corners, Joe, I am so thankful I do not have virtual hay fever, so to speak. The amount of grass that has been kicked up through certain sections of track, it is a very good testament to iRacing's particle physics that have been consistently improved on year upon year. But on top of that, every little time there's a battle, it looks like everyone's trying to use every inch of road. Mackenzie Mann not in a position to attack, will look to the outside then of Peter Reid, and in fact is going to send in very deep into the corner. Reid's a little bit late to the exit of it, so he'll make some door-to-door contact. They'll hold it together. Marimon there, Zvetenov, Alders, Brett Ride on the back of it as well. And now you've got this awkward position of effectively road traffic. They're both trying to find the right lane to go out through these corners and attack it.
Man, extremely defensive down into Wagon Bend. Thankfully, was able to hold onto the position, but he does not feel safe. Zvetenov trying to pick off a few here and there. He's already gotten by Alders, but no such luck this time down into turn 5. So he'll have to try again later on Peter Reid and in front of him to see if he can get higher than just simply within the top 10 now. But
sorry, I just noticed something at turn 1 this lap. Tom Daly's back in 4th position. He over-sent it into the opening corner.
Well, it might wind up being damage limitation anyway today for Tom Daly. His main rival is currently down in 22nd and last one out there running. We've only lost Stephen Orrell currently, and in fact, is he still? Yeah, Callie's still on the lead lap somehow, which is a bit shocking.
well, the tow would have taken a little while and then immediately get back out. Because they've got the fast repairs, Joe, they don't actually have to lose any time in the pit stop. So they can immediately get themselves back out and racing again. And too wide, too deep into turn one. Reed and Zvetenov fighting for it. Patrick Alders has got to try and find his way through. And I'll tell you what, a little bit slow from Peter Reed. He's going to drop 2 positions. And it might be a third because the 1P car is going to try and look through a Brett Ride. And they're going to come together through the wagon corner, front to rear, and somehow both of them kept it pointing in a straight line. This just opens up Alvaro Rodriguez.
Indeed, it does. Also, I can report that Lopez in the 9 car got passed by Ellett into the corner after going wide, just like we're seeing again wide for Zvetenov. And he's going to cycle across the track and gets hit. And multiple cars trying to scatter. Rodriguez gets a part of it. Peter Reed, they're eventually going to find their way back onto the black stuff. But I got to think they're going to get overtaken a bit as Martin Schmidt is the one behind. And that has to be a cut course for some of these drivers.
Yeah, it's like rats off a sinking ship the moment one car runs into trouble. So Zvetenov trying to hold the margin, just completely outbrakes himself at that portion of the track. 2 wheels on, 2 wheels off. He's a little bit too greedy on the power. The car's always trying to turn away. And then just that one bit of contact. And at that point, you can see the front left wheel has been effectively pushed up to become a tricycle at that point in time. And there's the contact going through. I believe that's Mann and Rodriguez both having to take the cut course and both having to be very careful about their rejoin. Sorry, it's Peter Reed, the other of the SimTech cars then that went through. So a very scary situation, but fortunately no real dramas other than the initial hit and the tricycle creation of Jordan Zvetenov's car.
Well, we had a bizarre accident with Van Rassel in the 30 car. Rantanen in the 36 and Rodriguez in the 18 coming into turn 1. And I think they all got away with it, although Van Rassel kind of went off. I don't know where he was going here. Looks like he touches the grass. Those two make contact as he flies across in front of them. And he's got to ask for directions to eventually find his way. He even goes around the tree.
It reminds me, Joe, of the Mexico Rally and Chris Meek, I believe it was, who had to effectively drive his way around the parking lot trying to get back on the road, because if he didn't, he wouldn't have won the rally. He won the rally by about 15 seconds that day, but it definitely is very reminiscent, having to go all the way around the tree.
Meanwhile, into turn 1, this is Bacchus on where, and it looks like he's going to have the position unless he overshoots the corner. No, it's nice and tidy from the number 10 car. Fighting back, Sander tries to get a better exit. Tom Daly's giving watch from behind as we take the view from him. Oh, he's trying to squeeze him. That's gone bad once already. These guys have got to be careful. Oh, and they're going to make contact, both of them going off. Tom Daly says, thank you very much. No, he gets shoved off. Sander is not letting anybody by and doing it physically.
You shall not pass is the way it's going right now. Vara has to take 2 takes, though, into that section of road, and he's trying to cover it off, and another shot to the back from Tom Daly. This is getting very much elbows out, and we're going to take the gloves off and put the knuckle dusters on. We're not even at halfway yet, Joe.
Not sure if that was a hello. I didn't like that from Tom or what, but man, these guys getting a bit rough out there. Bacchus did wind up in 4th, so Sanders stays in P2. Tom into 3rd because of that. You got to wonder if any of them got any damage. These aren't NASCAR stock cars. They can only take so much of a beating.
Yeah, and on top of that, Joe, they are, of course, on the iRacing new damage model, so if they do make too much contact, then there are going to be bits of mirror and wheel flying about. They'll do damage to the suspension as they go through, and they've got to be so careful about the way they battle. Good battle going on a little bit further back down in the pack as Martin Schmidt makes the pass on Sven Dahlmans then a hold there for Martin Schmidt, but it continues on in that scrap, 2nd, 3rd and 4th as Sander Vara once again holds onto that position. Daly gets the run, but he's got to choose his angle, inside or outside. He's going to try and open it up on the inside, but he lifts out early because, of course, that immediate right effectively melds into the braking zone for the left of turn 5.
It was a valiant effort, but he's obviously feeling pretty antsy, wanting to get by. They're all about 6 seconds behind Alderding. It's looking very unlikely that he'll be able to chase down that 51, even if he does pass Sander. But the best points he can get is really the goal here, to try and distance himself from Kavisto even more. Kavisto's up to 21st after the wreck from Zvetenov, unfortunately. Meanwhile, out of Paddock Bend, this is a good run. Oh, but he's off and into the gravel. He keeps his foot in it. He's going to have the slipstream, but will he have the chance into turn one?
Well, he's on the left-hand side of the road, so he'll be trying it. It's defended all the way by Sandavara, who wants absolutely none of it. Moves over onto the racing line. Latest available opportunity, but he's going to outbrake himself here. And Tom Daly is going to dive on through and steal a position away. Up to second, and Sandavara knows he has to immediately attack back and force Tom Daly to be in a very uncomfortable position into the wagon corner. He'll go through, and there's nothing more that he can do now. Really well fought, and Armanula Bacchus might start searching for a position to move up onto the podium. We're talking about hard charger as well at this point, Joe. Currently that goes to David Mitchell. He gets a lot of these hard chargers. He's up 10 at this point in time.
Yeah, up to 13th place. Not too shabby out of him. And he did not set a qualifying time, though, so that certainly helps him try and gain a few. Meanwhile, watching this battle for seconds, Daly, it amused me how quickly he shut the door as soon as he heard the clear from his spotter. He was very slow coming off of turn 9, though, and he's going to once again have to cover the inside down into Paddock Bend. He needs that exit speed. Oh, a big moment there from Sander. Catches the car. Bacchus says, thank you very much. I'll slip into third now.
Well, that's just being a little too aggressive from Sandavara, because that final curb on the inside is surprisingly high. It reminds me of a Nürburgring curb, the way they go over it. And yes, they've got in these Miatas an opportunity to go out and extend over the top of it, but you still have to deal with the decreased grip when you've got the front right and the back right tyres pinched up into the grass, and it has a different property of acceleration and grip. So you always have those different rotating speed of the wheels, and that's why you get sometimes these positions going around. Daly pushes very wide. You can push wide in a series like this because they do not have the instant limits, but I tell you what, Armanula Bacchus, despite being off of the Christmas card list of about half the field so far today, he's still driven incredibly well to still be in third place.
He is up 3 himself and looking at a potential podium, but he wants more. He shows his nose to the inside of Daly. Daly says, not right now. And they come through the S's. It's all going to be about the exit of this corner. This is where Daly was slow last lap around. This time he nailed it, and Bacchus has no answer.
Now, Armanula Bacchus is going to have to just sit in and grind the laps, essentially, make sure they're there. But the one thing that those two drivers have done, Armanula Bacchus and Sandavara, they have made sure that Tom Daly's progress, barring a cataclysmic incident in this race, Joe, they have made sure that Stefan Olderding has raced away and cannot be caught. Olderding's had a couple bad races this season, and this is exactly what he needed to get back on track. He is now up into 8th position as Vara to the inside of Armanula Bacchus is going to take the place away. I tell you what, there's a great fight going on for 7th place as well, because Mackenzie Mann and Pedro Marimon are also in a scrap going towards turn 1, and that is off the road, Mackenzie Mann, and Jordan Zvetenov, a lap down, is going to join in sympathy.
So Marimon much safer because of that and is able to carry on without as much threat. Meanwhile, back in that second place battle, can't keep our eyes off of this one. Now that Sander has disposed of Bacchus quite quickly, he seems intent on retaking that second place from Tom Daly. But can he? He's going to have 7 laps to do it next time by.
Not impossible, but I would say Tom Daly prefers to be out there in the front, has a lot of experience racing against fast drivers in the front, and this might be, in terms of a race like this, where Tom Daly's skill set does excel. He does have that ability just to know when and where is the right time to push, and he might just try and use that and understand that now in order to make this race work out there overall. It's worth noting as well, keep an eye on David Mitchell, because he's just lost a place to Bruno Albino, and he is in a big scrap with Martin Schmidt. This has hard charger implications all over it as the leaders now, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, run into that opening corner once again, and being pushed wide a little bit there was Armanula Bacchus.
Yeah, I think he just got a little deep into that one. and is trying to recover back to Mitchell once again. Still just barely ahead of Martin Schmidt, up 9 positions at this point. And let's see, we've got 2 drivers at 7 up. So if he loses 1, he's still in the position to gain those bonus points for hard charger, but he can't lose any more than that. Deep into the turn goes Martin Schmidt, and that's not going to work out, trying to overtake for that 14th position. Just ahead of them, that is Albino that you heard Jake mention before in the 64, also up 1 position from where he started.
Yeah, and just behind that as well, for Martin Schmidt, you've got Kalle Rantanen, who will be also trying to figure out where is the best place to make a move. Where can you find that one pass that opens up absolutely everything and gives these drivers a whole heap of respect and a whole heap of ability to extricate an extra place. And if you can find that place, that one place over the course of the lap, it doesn't matter what you've done for 18, 19 laps out there. They've got 6 laps to go right now here as they're on lap 14, starting lap 15. All you need in a race to be happy and excited about the day you've gone is a late overtake, and a good late overtake at that.
Absolutely. Just knowing that you made the most of it. And in the meantime, we've come back to P2 here, as look at how close Sander has come to the bumper of Tom Daly. He was almost to where he could reach out and touch that number 67 car, but he falls back slightly on the way through the chute and into turn 5. They've also started dropping Bacchus a little bit. It's a full second now down to that 10 car. How about Michael Ellett, though, coming back into things, up 6 positions and not too far off for this fight himself there in P5.
Yeah, he's doing very well, up 6, and I think that the positive Delta driver, having qualified the car in 11th position, would have wanted to try and get a good run. Top 5 is definitely nothing to shake a stick at. Could be 4th if he can catch Armanula Bacchus, his compatriot from South Africa. So there is a chance for Michael Ellett to jump up into 4th, and that would be huge in terms of today. So Mackenzie Mann up 7, Brett Ride up 7, and still up the 9 places is David Mitchell. But here comes Sander Vara. He's going to have to go the long way around, the road hard traveled, and on that high road he almost outbrakes himself into the opening corner. So confidence not there on the outside.
No, just tried a little too hard on that one. Thought that was going to be an excellent chance for him. If he could stay on that outside, you can see it becomes the inside here for Wagon Benz. And the car a little bit out of sorts as he had to gather it up on the way through the left-hander.
He just grabbed 2 wheels in the grass on entry there, Joe. That's all it takes for you to have no turn-in ability, and that's why he had to really get out of the throttle, make sure the car rotated through the corner. All of a sudden, it becomes a 3-car scrap for the last spot on the podium.
Uh-oh, Mitchell has not only lost 1 position, he might lose 2 here. He's got Schmidt past him, and now Rantanen is passed as well. So only 7 positions up. He is tied for the hard charger with Mann and Brett Ride.
Yeah, and both of those drivers cannot catch Pedro Marimon, or they will be hoping that one driver in front of them gets a little bit egregiously aggressive and can find an extra place. So it's up to David Mitchell to get that place back on Kalle Rantanen if he wants the hard charger point. I don't know, though, Joe, in this series, if everyone who's got the same gets a point or if they share a third of a point each.
I'm not sure either. Maybe it goes to the driver who is highest up that gained those spots. We'll have to double check the rulebook and see what we can find. In the meantime, as we watch the Scotsman's view through the windscreen, they are starting to disappear, unfortunately. Well then, we now have 4 laps to go. Alderding is a full 10 seconds ahead of Daly and showing no signs of slowing down. There he is on your screen now. He's already put at least 3 cars a lap down. Not a vast amount of them. Thought we'd see a lot more, frankly, on this short little lap around this place, but he's probably quite happy to not have to deal with that. Look at how much of the track he is indeed using, just really swinging that car through the corners.
Yeah, he's certainly got this under lock and key at the moment. When you consider Tom Daly in seconds, 10 seconds back, you consider Kalle Kavisto is only in 17th place. Sorry, I'll correct myself, 18th place right now. it really has been that sort of day of, well, Stefan Alderding, we hadn't really needed to go to him. He built a gap early. He hasn't looked back. And I think the greatest compliment you can give a driver who's leading the race and is leading the race by a bit is to not give him any camera time. It shows that you are so dominant in a race that we don't even need to look to see if anything's happening with you. You are that good. Michael Elliott now on the back of Armanula Bacchus. It's a 4-car fight for 2 spots on the podium. 2 drivers are coming away disappointed.
Yeah, the pace of this number 2 car has been fantastic here today. If he had gotten a little bit better qualifying, it's a question of maybe what could have been. At number 2 on his car, that's because he was second in the championship last season. Hasn't really been able to follow it up with a threat at it this time around, but certainly is not letting it diminish his hopes of at least getting some good finishes as they break down into turn 5. Everybody using a bit of an interesting line into that left-hander and not quite pulling it fully back to the right-hand side for the entry, but you can get a few different types of ways to go with that one. Speaking of ways to go, we should be 2 to go for the 51 as he's just coming out of the final corner.
Yeah, 2 laps to go then for Stefan Alderding in what has been a very dominant display's worth of driving. Everyone is, I would say, close in a battle, but I tell you what, it's still on for the hard charger. David Mitchell's not given up against Rantanen and Smith. Rantanen's just got by on Martin Smith in this race as well, and it just takes one position, and if he's keeping an eye out on everything, David Mitchell will know that one position might just be the biggest difference maker that he could possibly make in the latter stages of this one. He's staying close, but a missed apex there through turn 9 might have just thrown him off the trail.
He's fallen back quite a bit. He's got to hope that those 2 start fighting again to help him gather that up with so few laps left to try and decide this one. Nope, he's going to go completely off the course. So Mitchell loses even more time trundling through the gravel on the exit of Paddock Bend.
Wonder if his middle name might be McRae after that, trying to take the rally route, trying to find a way to gain that time, not able to do so, but you might get some help. There's a shot from Smith to the back of Rantanen. Rantanen keeps it on terra firma though, and ultimately no chance to make that move. So nice try in terms of finding the chrome horn way to make the pass, but it didn't quite work.
I'm sure Paul Tracy would be proud. He might be able to do it a second time. He's still right on top of him. We've already seen plenty of bumping and banging here today. I wonder if we're in store. We have more in store for us before this is over. No, not going to do it a second time. Martin Smith going to try and do it legit and see if he can actually get by that number 36 car. White flag is now out for Alderding. A single circuit around to go. And in fact, the battle for second has not ended. Vera has gotten close once again, but he goes very wide on the exit. Ooh, he holds on to it and still keeps a good run. He's still in this.
Oh, he absolutely is. And I tell you what, Tom Daly struggled through that opening corner. Now the wagon bends. Suddenly it's just opened up. It's been nothing for the last 5 laps. And suddenly Sandavara's there. But this is his last great chance to make a move. Not that he can't make a move, but he is nowhere near as they reach the breaking point into the chute.
Covering off the inside, Tom trying to do his best to ensure that there's no good opportunity. And he could maybe have a run on Tom out of the final turn if he's close enough, use the slipstream to try and sneak by before the finish line, but it's going to be very hard to do. Not hard at all for Stefan Alderding to take the win. Basically a light stuff flag for him today in that number 51 victory for Stefan Alderding in West Virginia.
That was a great drive. No positions then will change through second through 5th. So it will be Daly in second. Vara will take 3rd. And Bacchus and Elliott having 2 good drives in 4th and 5th position overall. Patrick Alders might have something to say late because he's trying to get a pass on Brett Ride. That pass would take Brett Ride out of the hard charges spot at the moment at +7, but that doesn't work. So Patrick Alders has to stay behind Brett Ride in what was a pretty important scrap towards the end of the race. And in terms of David Mitchell, he is close enough. Maybe if he can get a run out of the final corner, he does have a chance to make the pass on Martin Schmidt. It's a long run to that start-finish line. And I tell you what, he's going to hook it up in the draft. He's going to have to look to the left-hand side here, try and get this. But the line comes too quickly, and he's short over that stripe by just 0.07 of a second.
Oh, so close. That's going to take us to a quick break here. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12-Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings, where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back to Summit Point Raceway. We just watched round 12 in the Sunday Drivers' Cup, and Stefan Alderding takes the win, well ahead of the rest of the field, frankly, as everybody kind of scrabbled for the scraps of the finishing order. He just kind of scampered off. Tom Daly did get himself up into second, although he had to work hard for it. Sander Vera certainly made sure of that as he took the last step on the podium. Bacchus in fourth today as Michael Ellett didn't take the hard charger, but certainly was up many positions into fifth from 11th. Javi Lopez was in sixth, down from P2 after a bad start, and some troubles later on in the race really kind of hampered him. Pedro Marimon was in seventh. You've got Mackenzie Mann, we think potentially the hard charger for this one, since he gained 7, tied with a lot of others, but is the highest among those. He finished 8th in the end. Brett Ride was 9th, and Patrick Alders, was 10th.
In 11th position then would be Peter Reed, 38 seconds behind your race winner with Alvaro Rodriguez in 12th place. Bruno Albino will take 13th with Kalle Rantanen in 14th position, just beating out Martin Schmidt and David Mitchell, who also gained 7 places in the race. Arturo Davila will finish up in 17th, and what a horrible time to have a bad race if you are car number 1. And Kalle Kavisto, 18th position, a trip to the Shadow Realm, everything the doctor did not order. Willem van Rassel also had troubles today, ended up finishing in 19th, and Timo Paya would round out the top 20. The last 3 drivers over the page finish 1 lap down or worse, and they involve Sven Dalemans, Jordanin Zvetenov, and Stephen Orrell, whose trip to the Shadow Realm pretty much ended his race, Joe.
It did, but never visiting that Shadow Realm, Stefan Olderding ran away with the victory here today. Steph, congratulations. We went from lights to flag on this one, and it seemed like once everybody else just started fighting with each other, you kind of had the place to yourself.
Yeah, it was quite a lonely trip, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I was a bit worried with Tom behind me after what happened in Japan, but I thought keep it closed, and it worked. So yeah, very happy.
If ever you needed a time to get a good victory like this would be it. We're getting into the second half of the season, and Kalle and Tom seem to be pulling away from you. What do you take from this win? Does this kind of reinvigorate you, or are you not really even thinking about points at this point?
Well, if I can stay in the top 3, I would be thrilled. Yeah, that's actually my goal. Anything higher than 3 is going to be very, very difficult with these 2 stars on top.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Now, we'll go from a track that is extremely familiar to a lot of the drivers on iRacing to one that we very rarely see over with Poconos road course, one of their road courses. Have you ever driven that one before?
No, I've seen the track actually just yesterday in the Xfinity NASCAR race, but further than that, nothing.
Well, good luck on that then. It's one that doesn't show up very often at all in schedules, so we might be learning along with you. Congratulations on the win, Steph, and anybody you'd like to thank?
Oh yeah, definitely Sander for all the great work he's doing every race, and between the races. It's a great league, and I'm quite happy to be part of it. So thanks Sunday Drivers' Cup and everybody involved.
That was Stefan Olderding, your victor here today for round 12, which is going to wrap us up. And before we go, we want to give a big thank you for the Sunday Drivers' Cup folks for bringing us on to cover the 2022 season. Also, a thanks to the team today, Jake, Ryan, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. We've got links in the description below for each of those. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment on GSRC. The next race, as we mentioned, will be at Poconos Sunday, September 4th at 5 p.m. Eastern. And from there, be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we've got listed on the screen. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.